This sport is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. The big news of the day, the NBA gambling probe Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups have both been arrested on alleged gambling scheme that they were pulling in. Thursday Night Football, Vikings in LA taking on the Chargers. Chargers currently 3.5-point favorites with the point total set at 44.5. Aaron Jones, star running back from Minnesota, will be making his return after missing the last month of the season. That game gets going at 5:15. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football and King's Hawaiian Sliders. There's something about those soft, fluffy, irresistible King's Hawaiian Sliders that make them a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. King's Hawaiian, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, welcome in. It's hour number 1 here on San Diego Sports 760. Like Big Voice Guy just told you, I am out in Las Vegas at beautiful Resorts World, which is a really, really cool spot. I've never been here before. I'm here for the Mountain West Conference Media Day, the basketball media days, as this broadcast is presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztecs Hoops. If you want to watch the show today, you can on Twitter or X at Fletch and Sammy, on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760. Vegas is very, very cool this time of year. The weather is much better than when Sammy and I were in Vegas just a couple months ago, where it was like 110 degrees. Today, it's like a perfect 80 degrees. I'm inside the Resorts World conference room where there are Mountain West basketball players and coaches perusing the halls, walking all over the place. And if there's one thing I can say for certain, is Brian Dutcher is the most popular person in Las Vegas today. He has an absolute entourage of people following him everywhere he goes. But you're going to hear from Dutch on the show today. He's going to join us at 1 o'clock. I've already interviewed both Reese Waters and Miles Bird, who was named the preseason Mountain West Player of the Year. You'll hear clips of those interviews coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Sammy Long, how is San Diego?
It's good, man. It misses you. The real question, though, before we get to, because there's a lot of sports to get to today, a lot of stuff going on. Are we up or down at the table so far?
We are up. Something happened to me last night that's never happened before. And I'll tell you, I only gambled for 30 minutes. I got here late. The flights were crazy delayed getting into Vegas, but I did spend 30 minutes after I got here perusing the offerings at Resorts World. And I will say we are up. And I will tell you exactly how much we are up coming up at 12:45 right before long shots, because something happened to me that I cannot even explain. I've never seen it happen.
Look at this guy
before.
sandbagging us for 12:45.
Craziness, Sammy. We got a lot of important stuff to do today. Speaking of gambling, what the hell's going on in the NBA? We'll cover that on today's show. Speaking of fun stuff on the show, Petros Papadakis is going to be joining us at 12:30. Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to be joining us at 1:30. Brian Dutcher at 1 o'clock. We got a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld San Diego for How Low Scream that we got to give away on today's show. We got a very, very busy day. But let's start here with this Aztecs basketball team, because preseason stuff came out yesterday. And you could say whatever you want about preseason stuff. They're polls, and they're polls for a reason. No basketball has been played yet. It is rare for a team in the Mountain West, which has been chalk the last few years, meaning the parity has been through the roof, that San Diego State got 100% of the votes as the preseason number 1 team in the Mountain West preseason poll. That is rare. And it's a little shocking that everybody who voted on this voted for San Diego State. That tells you how deep this program is, the culture that Brian Dutcher has built, and really a job they've done in retaining their student athletes. When you think about a 3-headed monster of freshmen last year with Magoon Guath, Taj DeGorville, and Pharaoh Compton all making their way back to the Mesa, as well as Miles Bird and Reese Waters coming off the injured season last year. This team is set to win, and it's set to win deep into the season and deep into March, hopefully. So that is why they're the preseason number 1 team. Now, some of the newcomers that we're all going to be learning about real soon, because the season gets going in about a week and a half. LZ Harrington, the freshman, was named the Mountain West Freshman Player of the Year. We've heard that he's crazy athletic. He comes from St. John Bosco, 4-star recruit. Really excited to see what he's going to be this year. And then Miles Bird was named the preseason Mountain West Player of the Year. Second time in Aztecs basketball history they've had one of those. So all that to say, here in Vegas, the Aztecs have been very popular. You look around and there's a bunch of different tables set up where press can go up and ask questions. There's a little bit of a radio row here where guys like John Rothstein with CBS Sports are. Guys like our iHeart brother Steve Cofield is doing a show today from out in Vegas. And everywhere you look, they're looking for Aztec people to interview. They have been the talk of the town here in Las Vegas, and I think it's for good reason. I think it's because this team has a real shot to do something very, very special here this year.
Yeah, this Aztec basketball season is going to be really fun. It feels like last year they kind of got out to a big start, especially in that one tournament where they had a couple big wins. And probably last year was felt like a little bit of a building year for this year, and they kind of were over exceeded expectations, and we probably got a little bit too high on them halfway through the year. But yeah, with everyone returning, Magoon Guath, Miles Bird, a lot of expectations there. Reese Waters back, so you have a nice mix of veteran presence and a lot of newcomers with Latrell Davis and guys like that. So very excited for this Aztec basketball season. Can't wait for that to get going here in a few weeks. Fletch, the text line does have a question for you. 760 says, did you see Terry or Chauncey Billups last night before?
Believe it or not, I did not. 949 saying take the under today on Terry Rozier out in Vegas. 978 saying NBA ... crazy. 858 with the important question here. The only name missing from today's FBI gambling list is Shohei Ohtani. Maybe the NBA needs to start hiring interpreters to take the fall for their players. Look, it's real convenient that Shohei is going to be in Canada in a couple days, right? That he's going to be leaving the country, because I kind of thought the same thing. This NBA thing is wild. So, Sammy, for everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about here, explain what happened with the FBI and Chauncey Billups, who is a head coach in the NBA, Terry Rozier, who's a player in the NBA, and they are both in FBI custody right now, like arrested and in jail. What went down?
So we've seen a lot of gambling probes over the years, but we've never seen it with a player like Terry Rozier. He's not a superstar, but this is a guy who landed a $96 million contract. I mean, Terry Rozier is not a scrub in the NBA. And Chauncey Billups is a Hall of Famer. He was a 2004 Finals MVP. This is an all-time great player in Chauncey Billups, a guy who was coaching for the Portland Trailblazers last night. They lost to Anthony Edwards, who dropped 41 points, and he's answering questions post-game, and then 6 hours later, he's being picked up by the FBI at his home.
By the way, did he say post-game? He was like, yeah, the chips are going to fall where they may?
Yeah, that was golden. And so Billups is apparently, again, all alleged. They were running like an illegal poker game where they basically lured just the public to come play in these games under the guise of that you would be getting to play with a guy like Chauncey Billups, who's a big name in the NBA. And then Terry Rozier, March 23rd, 2023, apparently Vegas saw about $200,000 come in on the under on Terry Rozier, which is very odd for just a random game in the NBA season for that much money to be bet on a player prop bet. He magically gets hurt 3 minutes into the game. So the under cashes, and then so he's been linked to this. So tons of names. There's been like 4 teams linked to it. It's a big deal for the NBA right now.
Who was one of those teams, Sammy?
The Los Angeles Lakers happen to be
Nico Harrison was right about everything. I don't think Doncic is a drunk. He's a gambler.
I don't think the Lakers. Lakers need to be left out of this. They didn't do anything. Luka's fine. Everything's good.
Who was the guy on the Lakers that's being involved with this?
Damon Jones, who's on the coaching staff in 2022, 2023. Allegedly, he knew that LeBron was not going to be playing in a game, so he rushed everyone to bet the under for LeBron James. Crazy story today.
It's a dirty business, man, the world of sports, and crazy that people have been arrested today because of this stuff. Absolutely insane. We'll get deeper into that a little bit later on the show. I'm sure Petros Papadakis has lots of thoughts on it. He's going to be joining us coming up at 12:30. Right now, it's time for something we do called the Big Three, where Sammy Long rips through the top 3 stories in the world of sports. Sammy, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
I am out in Las Vegas for today's show at the Mountain West Media Days for basketball. Windmill Farms is who sent us out here, so thank you to them, the college area's natural grocer. But, Sammy, we haven't really talked about your Big Three yet, so where are we going?
Well, we're going to start with the NFL. Thursday Night Football should be a good one tonight. Looking forward to this game. Minnesota on the road with Carson Wentz, taking on the Chargers up there in L.A. Aaron Jones is back for this game for the Vikings. Chargers currently 3.5-point favorites. But my question is this: who needs a win more tonight, the Vikings or the Chargers?
I'm going to say the Chargers. Look, they start 3-0. They go 1-4 over their last 5 games. Or no, what was it? 1-3 in their last 4 games. The Chargers need a win, and they need to get back on the right track. That's a team that I think a lot of us, myself included, thought would be competing in the postseason this year. Well, you keep stacking weeks like you have been, and it's going to be a problem. Now, on the Vikings side of the football, Carson Wentz is starting tonight. Sammy, do you happen to know Carson Wentz's record all-time on Thursday Night Football?
What is it?
7-0. Carson Wentz is undefeated
CW?
in Thursday Night Football. So if you're ready to see some vintage Carson Wentz Eagles MVP season action, look no further than Thursday Night Football tonight. The Chargers are going to be in a bad spot here. This is what Carson Wentz has done on Thursday Night Football. A career passer rating of 103.1 on Thursdays, 1,542 yards in those 7 games, 15 touchdowns, 2 picks. All that in just 7 Thursday Night Football games. Carson Wentz is Joe Montana on Thursday night.
The answer here is definitely the Chargers. Not to say the Vikings don't have a lot of pressure because they play in a very good division. You got the Packers, the Lions, the Bears have won 4 straight. So they need to win badly. Their kind of questions are, you got rid of Sam Darnold. Is J.J. McCarthy the answer? But he's not playing tonight. So we'll get more answers with them down the road. But yeah, the Chargers, they need this win because them being 3-0, they were becoming a top favorite in the AFC. Everyone was high on them. And then all of a sudden, here come the Chiefs. The Broncos are 5-2. And although I think there's a cap to how good Bo Nix can be in the postseason, that is a very solid football team with one of the best defenses in the NFL. So if you're the Chargers, 1-3 in your last 4 games, your one win was against the Miami Dolphins. And that game was pretty tight as well. Herbert had to evade a sack late to win that one. This is a big game for the Chargers. I don't care about injuries withstanding. They have to win this game if they want to be a player in the AFC West race.
Now, the last couple times the Vikings have been to LA for a game at SoFi, whether it's the Rams or the Chargers, Vikings fans have taken over the place. I'm sure tonight's going to be no different. The Vikings have this huge, widespread fan base. There's a ton of them in San Diego, actually. But get ready for that tonight. It's in SoFi, right? Or am I
it's in LA.
Yeah, it's going to be a complete Vikings takeover. I'm pretty sure my brother-in-law, who's a diehard Vikings fan, is going to be at the game tonight. So good luck, Chargers.
Let's head back to the NBA real quick. Last night, the battle between Cooper Flagg, Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama has 40 points. Cooper Flagg, though, on the other hand, goes 10-10 with a double-double and says his performance was, quote, not great. What's a bigger storyline for you? Wemby's great performance or Cooper Flagg's not so great performance?
I mean, I don't want to be this guy, but Cooper Flagg, I kind of expected that. Now, it didn't look good with Cooper Flagg, and I'm glad he stepped up to it. I think he's being misused by the Dallas Mavericks. He's not a true point guard for the NBA. He's just not. They need to figure out a way to utilize him the best, especially when you do have a point guard on your team and D'Angelo Russell, who's just sitting on the bench. So the Cooper Flagg storyline, it was a little bit expected. I think he's been mishandled. Wembanyama is an alien. The dude's a freak of nature. If you haven't looked back at his highlights from last night, I strongly encourage you to do so, because it's one thing watching the game and seeing it kind of happen in real time. When you see his highlights back to back, he does things that we haven't really seen before. He's 7'1,000,000. He's running fast. He's like kind of graceful in the lane even. He's just different. I don't know how you guard him. I don't think there's a single person in the NBA who possibly can, because he's fast. And he's huge, and he can shoot, and he has a bunch of different shots he can go to. And then his shot blocking skills seem to have gotten a lot better. If Wemby stays healthy, he's the MVP this year.
I think I'm with you on Wemby being that good. He should be a front runner for MVP. He's just a freak of nature. He's Kevin Durant with handles but taller, and
right.
and no one's going to be able to guard him like that. So Victor Wembanyama, he has not been in the postseason so far in his NBA career. That's going to be a big feat for him. And this Spurs team, Stephon Castle was on long shots last night, is going to become a star. He looks great. De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, a lot of guys there. The Cooper Flagg thing, I'm with you, Fletch. I don't understand them starting him at point guard. D'Angelo Russell was signed to be the point guard, and even though D'Angelo Russell is not something special, I mean, Cooper Flagg being put out there to run the point, that's not why he was drafted. He's drafted to be kind of a point forward, but really attack off the wing, be the great slasher he is at Duke. I think that was a bad spot by Jason Kidd, and they needed to not have him bring the ball up. He scored a little bit late, but really struggled in the first half. All right, let's go.
Squeeze one more in.
Yeah, let's go back to the NFL. So per Trey Wingo, the Cowboys are checking in on Max Crosby to see if they can land the star pass rusher. Now, the Raiders have said that they are not going to trade Max Crosby, but every man has a price. Fletch, is this a better look or worse look that they're checking in on defense now after trading Micah Parsons?
I'm very curious on who Trey Wingo is getting this information from, because it's one thing if it's from the Raiders, it's a completely different thing if it's from the Cowboys. Now, Trey Wingo about once a year does this, where he'll put out a tweet where it's some big kind of potential story in the NFL. Usually he doesn't miss. So in this situation, if Trey Wingo's saying it, who's not a newsbreaker in the traditional form, he's got this from somebody good. But it matters if it's from the Cowboys or the Raiders. Look, if the Cowboys do this, while it is a smart move, it's all going to depend on the price, because I would imagine it's going to take everything you got for Micah Parsons to get Max Crosby, which is such a lateral move, and they still have the same problems. Max Crosby is one of the more expensive players in the NFL for a reason. He's fantastic. But can the Cowboys, they're going to be in the exact same predicament they were in with Micah. So everything you did, the reasons behind trading Micah, you would be basically calling it a push if you bring in Max Crosby, because you're going to have the same problems heading into next season. It'll help them this year. It gives them an opportunity to be in a kind of chalky NFC and maybe a rise on top of it all, but it is a spooky at the very least.
It would be a lateral move. Max Crosby is a fantastic player, but the Raiders are going to start the asking price at both first round picks that you got from Micah Parsons. So if you're doing that, then you would be acquiring a 28-year-old superstar pass rusher, having given up a 26-year-old superstar pass rusher that also, despite how Max Crosby's greatness, is more versatile than Max Crosby. Micah Parsons can play linebacker, can play outside linebacker on the line. He's played nose tackle before. Max Crosby is specifically just an end. I get the Cowboys hunting. They do feel like with the offense they have, it would be a shame for them not to try to do something in the NFC. But I feel like if they give up the picks they got from Micah, then this is a disaster for Dallas.
All right, Sammy. Stacey Terry Hudson and the Aztecs women's basketball team just arrived here. The women's session is going to start a little bit later on. You're actually going to hear from Stacey coming up on John and Jim at 2:30 today. Brian Dutcher is going to be joining this show coming up at 1 o'clock. I'm out in Las Vegas at Resorts World at the Aztec or the Mountain West Media Day. It's been a blast so far, man. Just tons of people everywhere. And we'll see. You're going to hear from Reese Waters and Miles Bird both on this show today. You'll hear from Brian Dutcher on the show today as we get ready for another Aztecs basketball season, preseason #1 team in the conference. Take a break here. On the other side, let's take a little deeper dive into this Thursday night football game we got coming up tonight and maybe some of the numbers that you can take advantage of in it. That's next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Welcome in at San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy along with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. Coming up on the show, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to How Low Scream at SeaWorld San Diego. This year, new horrors have awakened with 5 haunted houses, 8 terrifying scare zones, hidden speakeasies, and the shrills of coasters after dark. Select nights now through November 1st. Get tickets now at SeaWorld.com/San Diego, or just keep listening for your chance to win. We'll be giving those away coming up very, very shortly, if you know what I mean. All right, we got plenty of stories going on. This NBA probe is insane, and we'll get back to that coming up in hour number 2. Thursday night football game tonight, Chargers-Vikings will be fun. I am out in Las Vegas right now at the Mountain West Media Day. Our coverage of the Mountain West Media Day is presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztec Hoops. And we're going to be joined by Brian Dutcher coming up in about 30 minutes, so stay tuned if you want to hear from the Aztecs basketball head coach. We're also going to hear from both Reese Waters and the preseason player of the year in the Mountain West, Miles Bird, on the show today. If you want to see a picture where I look very small, go over to my X account at Fletch Sports and see me standing next to Miles Bird, who seems to have gotten bigger over this past offseason. All right, Sammy, Thursday night football tonight. You got betting lines up for me?
Yep, Chargers favored by 3.5. I'm checking the point total right now. I believe it was at 44.5 for the total points. So kind of a lower line, and then Chargers favored by 3.5.
Neutral site pick 'em.
Neutral site pick 'em. Yeah, it feels fair. Both of these teams feel like they're in similar spots. Like, you look at the Chargers and Vikings as like good, solid teams, but are they top tier contenders in the AFC or NFC? I don't think so. Chargers probably have a higher ceiling than Minnesota does, just simply because they do have an elite quarterback. But this feels like a really big game for both teams that they both need to win.
Little for me to tell you what to do with long shots today, Sammy, but what I will say is you should probably go over on Carson Wentz all over the place. The dude on Thursday Night Football in his career, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's 7-0 on Thursday Night Football. For whatever reason, Carson Wentz is kind of a block quarterback outside of Thursday nights, but it seems like he's pretty damn good on Thursday nights. So if you believe in the trend, maybe Vikings tonight is the play. We'll certainly see how it goes. I did see the report Aaron Jones expected back for tonight's game. That is huge for the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Mason's been very good for them, the backup running back, who you remember was on the Niners a year ago when Christian McCaffrey went down. But Jordan Mason doesn't quite offer you the passing game versatility that Aaron Jones does, where they'll literally, Kevin O'Connell will line Aaron Jones up in the slot as almost an extra receiver occasionally. So I think that's huge for the Vikings, getting him back, giving Carson Wentz that outlet valve that is just reliable. And I kind of see this going the way of the Vikings tonight. That's where I would be placing my money if I were. I don't know how you feel, Sammy, but I feel like the Chargers in this spiral that they've been in, I don't know that they have enough to overcome these Vikings.
Well, it's just I'm curious to see how, like, Wentz, I know his record on Thursday Night Football. Wentz is interesting. He's not going to screw things up. He's kind of padded some stats late in some of these games, especially like that Pittsburgh game where they were in Dublin, I believe, and kind of came back at the end there. But can they get the ball to Addison and Justin Jefferson? Because the Chargers defense has been really good. Now, the Chargers defense the last few weeks, they were great against the Chiefs, but noteworthy. They were great against the Raiders, which is not hard to do. And they were pretty good against Denver. And Bo Nix at the time couldn't complete a pass. Well, Miami kind of lit them up. The Colts destroyed them. So how are they going to respond here in that regard? And then on the, I get for the Chargers offense, the offensive line injuries have been massive. But what was working the first 3 weeks is it was Ladd McConkey was playing well, but Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen were really stepping up for this team and giving them a legit number 2 receiver. Well, since then, Quentin Johnston has kind of, returned back to being Quentin Johnston, and you're looking at Keenan Allen. I don't think Keenan Allen's the same player he once was. So they got to find something else besides, because Hampton's not going to be there. I think they got to get a lead and let Vidal run the football. But I'm excited to see if the Vikings passing attack can get after Derwin James in this Chargers secondary.
Yeah, we'll see. Quentin Johnston's had a really great season so far as the Chargers wide receiver with very low expectations heading into the year. It's been impressive to see his kind of resurrection of his career so far. All right, text line before we get to Petros Papadakis, 949 saying, in regards to your NBA gambling probe talk, no wonder Jeannie Buss sold the Lakers. She knew something was going to be going down. Maybe, man. I think everything's on the table at this point. Depending on who knew what, maybe this was.
I don't think Jeannie Buss sold the. She still has control for the next 5 years.
Yeah, but Sammy, she did sell them. She sold what, like $10 billion worth of them?
Yeah. Lakers gonna be just fine.
Jeannie knows, dude. Jeannie knows. Her name is Jeannie. So if you want 3 wishes, 858. I flexed long shots last night because I didn't like Simons. Siakam over 11.5 boards plus assists tonight is my free fire pick. Do you like that, Sammy Long?
I gotta see who Siakam's playing tonight. I will check up on that. We will. Well, you were right because my Anthony Simons pick did not hit, unfortunately. But yeah, we will tap into this. It might appear on long shots at 12:45.
615. I'm waiting for the NFL gambling ring news to also drop any minute now. In the meantime, take all the overs on Tua's interceptions. Dude, Tua opened his mouth again at a presser. Did you hear what he said this last time? It was something like, hey, sometimes I'm just not big enough to look over the offensive line and find Jalen Waddle. Shut up.
Tua, I think, is getting his last words at the mic in because he knows it's probably wrapping up soon because they're going to be drafting a quarterback. Tua, like, we didn't hear much from Tua. This was never a problem with Tua. And now all of a sudden we got all these quotes. It feels like the inmates are running the asylum down there because
it feels like he's Russell Wilson Jr.
Yeah, it is weird. Like, Tua and Russell Wilson have went from kind of beloved guys that I think even casual fans like pulled for, especially Tua with the injuries, to like opening their mouth and just like creating this dissension.
It's kind of crazy, man, but you can fall from grace pretty quickly. But Tua, if you're trying to install some sort of faith with your fan base, man, stop saying I can't see over the offensive line. That's a mistake. All right, Petros Papadakis, I'm sure he's going to have lots of thoughts on the NBA gambling ring. Plus, he was on the call for UNLV Boise State, so let's get a little preview on those. In terms of Mountain West football, San Diego State taking on Fresno State this weekend up in Fresno for the battle for the old oil can. I'm in Vegas. Sammy's in San Diego. Stick with us. We got plenty of fun coming up. Petros Papadakis coming up next on San Diego Sports 760.
This sport is sponsored by Major League Baseball. Thursday Night Football tonight. Minnesota traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. That game gets going at 5:15. Chargers currently 3.5-point favorites with the point total set at 44.5. Carson Wentz will be getting the start in place of J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings. And Aaron Jones, star running back, will be back after his month-long hiatus. It's the World Series. These moments never die. October, it's different. Watch baseball at its finest. The World Series presented by Capital One. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Yeah, welcome in, everybody. San Diego Sports 760. We are out in Las Vegas today as the Mountain West Media Day for college basketball gets going. A lot going on with that big open there, but I like the Van Halen bringing us in. It is San Diego Sports 760. We got Petros Papadakis down the line. And Petros, I'm out in Vegas right now for this Mountain West Media Day. What kind of trouble do you get in Vegas when you come here?
You know, you're not going to like this answer, Ben, but I really, really despise Las Vegas. I've never liked it. I can't believe there's a place in the middle of nowhere that it costs like $900 a night for a decent hotel room, and they still won't call you a cab. You have to wait in line with all the drunk people. And it used to be Vegas was cool because it was inexpensive because of the gambling, but now it's totally corporate, and it hosts events like you're at, or the Mountain West Football Media Day that I was at. I think I talked to you guys when I was on my way out there.
Yeah.
But there are some things about Vegas that are charming, but those are things that are generally found downtown and in, you know, little corners. But the whole corporate vibe of the Strip and what that has become makes me sick. I can't take it. I don't like it. But you're there to work. So
I'm here to work.
You remember that, Ben, and keep yourself out of trouble.
Well, it's a less than 24-hour trip, which I feel like is the right amount of time for being in Vegas. I got in really late last night. I'm leaving late afternoon today, so I feel like that's the right amount of time, and I can't possibly get into that much trouble. But Petros, you were on the call for Boise State, UNLV, two of the top teams of the Mountain West. What did you see from those two teams in this Mountain West? Is it turning into a bit of a three-horse race with San Diego State, UNLV, and Boise State?
Yeah, I didn't really see the Aztecs coming. The UNLV thing I understand, because that is one thing that's really changed about Vegas for the positive, is Las Vegas is now a sports town. Whereas, you know, when I was growing up and even 10, 15 years ago, it was, you know, not illegal, but the NFL didn't even want their players to travel to Vegas. They would discourage it. And now you got the Raiders, you got the Aces, you've got the hockey team, the Knights, you've got so much going on there. Oh, there's a motorcycle guy revving his engine at me. You've got the A's are on their way, and they got their way about where the stadium's going to be. And UNLV fits really well into that. You know, most teams are kind of swallowed up by a big stadium that's not their own, like UCLA and the Rose Bowl. But Las Vegas playing, the Rebels playing at Allegiant is a really good thing. And Barry Odom was a good coach, and they had success with that. And then this Dan Mullen's very different. He brought in a lot of different players, and they don't play much defense, but they have, which is the opposite of what Barry Odom's teams were built on. But they have a really, really dynamic quarterback in Calandria and three gigantic receivers that look like SEC guys, because they are. And Jet Thomas, the running back, is back, and I like the backup too. They have a good football team. They're not playing great D. Boise ran over them in the second half. And then Boise is without Ashton Genty, which is the guy we all watch. So they've just gone back to kind of who they are, which is a collective program with a great identity. And that identity is based on the lines of scrimmage. And that's why they ran over that's the thing about Boise. Those guys have been together for a couple years. They, more than two. They know how to understand and overcome adversity. And it's going to be hard for teams with a lot of new players like UNLV to get down in the trenches with them.
Petros, switching to the NFL, how do you kind of view the Chargers start 3-0, 1-3 in their last month? How do you kind of view them going forward as a threat in the AFC?
Oh, I don't know. Well, my radio partner, who's a Charger expert and the play-by-play guy, he'll be working today. You could say it's excuse making. You could say it's being reasonable. But what he says is, they're down to their seventh tackle. So they have had a lot of injuries, and eventually that was going to catch up. And Justin Herbert, if it wasn't for that superhuman play Justin Herbert made in Miami to get it to Lad McConkey shaking off a sacker in a very manly way, the Chargers would be 0-4 in the last 4 games. So I don't know if they're even a threat to make the playoffs unless they could play better. And Minnesota's not bad, even though they're without their starter, right? So that could be tough for them. But and obviously Kansas City, who the Chargers beat in Brazil on opening night, you guys know, looks like the best team in the NFL.
Boo.
So
yes, they do.
The Chargers need to focus on the Chargers, get a little healthier, and get themselves right before they start thinking about what's next. Because what's next is a digression from last year. If they can't right the ship and protect the quarterback, and defensively, they've been bad. I mean, really bad. And
right. And that was supposed to be the strength
UNLV
of the team.
Was the other day.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be the strength of the team coming into this year, Petros, and it hasn't looked that great. I'm sure that, Petros Papadakis joining us on San Diego Sports 760. You hear him up on AM 570 in LA. Petros, I'm sure you have lots of thoughts on the kind of overnight, early morning reporting about the NBA in this gambling probe. Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier. What would you be saying on your radio show right now about this?
Well, we have Don McClain today, who's, involved very deeply with the NBA and played 10 years in the league. So we'll lean on him for expertise. But, we were just talking about Las Vegas and how it was like a taboo to be there. If you were a pro athlete, it just was a place where bad things happen. It still kind of is, and I worry for Ben. But at the same time, if you open the floodgates of gambling, I mean, they were arguing about this on ESPN this morning, and there was ESPN bet Chiron in the corner that's, we all have gambling available now on our phones, and the floodgates have opened, and it's not as taboo as it used to be. I mean, I remember when I first, I hate saying it, but when I was your guys' age, and I was doing sports talk radio daily in LA, which I still do, it was a faux pas, and I had to really bite the bullet and go to the casinos and do shows because they were sponsors, because I called football games, and it's kind of a trick. I was taught that was a very tricky association, and now nobody cares. So if that's the case, you've got to expect that there's going to be seepage and there's going to be stuff that happens. And the thing I think about is, what are they not catching? What's happening in pro sports that we aren't seeing? And it makes one very suspicious and very skeptical just about the state of things. I'm not a gambling person. I take it because I was taught that way by the people that hired me to do TV. You know, I wasn't a guy growing up who aspired to do these kind of jobs. So I had to learn on the fly. And they've always said, you know, this is what you have to stay away from, you know, guns, porn, and gambling. And I honestly made it a point in my life to never even know what the terminologies are, like a hook and tease and all these different things that you hear about now. So, I mean, it used to be such a nuclear thing. And I'm considered a guy who will say anything, right? But I was always very, very cautious about gambling. So I guess if you're not cautious about it and it's a more acceptable part of society, we're going to have stories like this. And there's probably a lot more. This probably is just the tip of the iceberg.
Petros, just quickly switching back to the NFL. Who do you see in the NFC as like the favorite? The Eagles have been up and down. The Rams, a lot of teams kind of clustered there. Who would you put as the favorite in the NFC?
I mean, I hate to say it, but the Rams are pretty darn good. I mean, that's playing great. Group receiver, you know, young receiver going in the NFL. The back is good and productive, and what they would do defensively without Aaron Donald, and you know, they're probably statistically better in a lot of ways. So and they're really well coached. And I guess it doesn't matter that 80% of the people in the crowd are 49er fans when they play the Niners. They're looking really good right now. And people might have caught up to the Eagles a little bit, maybe not. I mean, but I think the Rams are something to watch. And Sean McVay, even though he sounds like Tony Robbins in a John Gruden voice, is a pretty impressive coach.
Interesting that you say 80%, Seren, or Petros. I've seen more like 95% when I've been to the Niners-Rams games. Appreciate your time, brother. We always do. And catch Petros along with Matt Money Smith over on AM 570 in LA. Thank you for your time, Petros. Appreciate you.
Anytime, guys. And Ben, I don't want you taking any of those business cards from the people handing them out over there.
I've been scrapbooking. I have a whole collection for you and Sammy when I get back to San Diego.
Are you at the Circa?
No, we're actually at Resorts World, which is on the Strip. I was at Circa a couple months ago. That place is awesome. But Resorts World, it's like a mall hotel. It's kind of amazing what this place is.
Yeah, it's nice. I saw Shedeur Sanders in the lobby there once. Pac-12 Media Day.
Well, if Shedor's there, then it's got to be the nicest place ever.
Yeah.
All right, Petros. Appreciate you, brother. See you soon.
All right, guys. Have fun.
Petros Papadakis, one of the best, man. All right, quick break here. Long shots on the other side. Let's get a winner out of Sammy Long, as well as some SeaWorld tickets to SeaWorld San Diego. That's next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. I'm out in Las Vegas at the Mountain West Media Day broadcast. It's presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztec Hoops and Aztec Athletics. Thank you to Windmill Farms for kind of making it possible for all this to happen today. Brian Dutcher joining the show in 10 minutes. We'll talk to Dutch about this upcoming Aztecs basketball season. You're still going to hear from Reese Waters and Miles Bird on the show today. SeaWorld tickets coming up in about 5 minutes. Sammy, why don't we get right into long shots and see what you've been cooking up for everybody? Let's go ahead and smash it.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance
Pay that man his money.
with long shots.
How did we end up last night? I don't know that I checked it.
We went 2 for 4. So Buzelis hit for us. Matas Buzelis from Chicago, and Stephon Castle was good for us. Anthony Simons hit it, did not hit his over, and James Harden did not hit his over on field goals, unfortunately.
Oh, that was mine. Sorry.
It's all right. The Clippers, by the way, on a different note, getting blown out at home by the Jazz, or just blown out by the Jazz. Interesting little note there. Disappointed in James Harden.
So Dave on YouTube is pointing out something very funny because Petros Papadakis kind of just spent 5 minutes poo-pooing gambling. And he said, yeah, even after all that, I'm still running up a parlay. Let's cook, boys. Sammy, time to cook.
We're always cooking. We're always cooking. Okay, so right now I have a 5-leg lineup. Okay, Fletch, I'm going to give you a veto. On this one.
I love power. I love having power.
you love power. That's a quote of the day. All right, so one of these is a listener pick. So we're going to do 2 NBA picks first, and then we're going to get to Thursday Night Football. So listener pick, I believe the 760 sent this in. I'm trying to find the 760 says Pascal Siakam more than 11.5 rebounds and assists playing Oklahoma City. I do like this pick a lot. Finals rematch. Fun one. Thunder coming off an emotional win a couple nights ago against the Rockets. Played 2 overtimes. Figured to be a little bit tired in this one. Pacers had this game circled. Pacers are ready for this game tonight. Pascal Siakam was kind of the guy last year in the postseason outside of Halliburton hitting all the big shots. But in the Thunder series, outside of Halliburton down the stretch playing well, it was really Pascal Siakam being the guy that was the go-to. Now Halliburton's not there because he's injured. More than 11.5 rebounds and assists for Pascal Siakam. In the night game on primetime, we're going to go Christian Brown. Tyler's giving this out on the thing, but I'm going to modify it a little bit. Christian Brown, more than 13 points. He just got paid. Young player out of Kansas, 5 years, $125 million contract. I think Christian Brown's going to shoot a lot tonight for the Nuggets. Kind of a new-look team. They got Cameron Johnson there. No Michael Porter Jr. I think Cam Johnson's still going to be adapting the offense a little bit. Christian Brown is going to have a bigger role going forward. More than 13 points for Christian Brown against the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, the Warriors game, we have to do Jimmy Butler free throws, right?
You want Jimmy Butler free throws?
We have to.
All right. Then what's that number at, 6.5?
6.5. That's easy.
All right, we'll do that then. Jimmy Butler, more than 6.5 free throws attempted. He did well against the Lakers on the other night. My reservation a little bit on this one, I'm not going to lie, is that Cam Johnson is an elite defender who will be guarding him, but Fletch likes it. We're going to ride with it. More than 6.5 free throws attempted for Jimmy Butler.
I mean, I'll be honest, if you hate it, we shouldn't do it, but I just feel like that's automatic cash.
All right, we'll determine at the end. All right, Thursday Night Football, we got a 3-picker right here. I think the Chargers have a big offensive night. Brian Flores-led defense will get after him a little bit, but Joe Alt's questionable. Think like they're going to get some offensive line help back on the offensive line. Brian Flores blitzes a lot. He likes to get after the passer. He does not like to he's kind of Steve Spagnuolo of the NFC. Keenan Allen, more than 8 reception targets. The Chargers are the king at this. The Chargers are the king of throwing right over the blitz and slant patterns. This is Keenan Allen's thing. They're going to be keying on Ladd McConkey. More than 8 reception targets for Keenan Allen against Brian Flores. And then I do think, or we'll scrap that one. TJ Hawkinson on the other side, 34.5 receiving yards. We're going with a less than for TJ Hawkinson. Derwin James, when he is healthy, is one of the best safeties in football, if not the best safety. He will be tailing around Hawkinson all night. I think they're going to leave the corners on an island, despite it being Addison and Justin Jefferson. Again, it kind of goes into the blitz packages. Derwin James will be on TJ Hawkinson all night. I think that he's going to limit him. That's why this number is kind of low at 34.5, less than for TJ Hawkinson. So to recap, NFL picks tonight, Keenan Allen, more than 8 reception targets against that Brian Flores blitz-happy defense. TJ Hawkinson, tight end for Minnesota, less than 34.5 receiving yards. Christian Brown, guard for the Denver Nuggets, more than 13 points. Pascal Siakam, listener pick, more than 11.5 rebounds and assists in the finals rematch. Fletch, do you want Jimmy Butler or not?
I think so. We're
going to add it.
If I had a veto, honestly, it's going to be Keenan Allen.
You don't like Keenan Allen, really?
No, I like the logic behind it, but that is a big number for Keenan Allen, man. 8 might be the number, though. So I feel like when they're confident enough to just put no hook on it, like I would have felt much better if it was 7.5. Put it that way.
Okay, so what is our final lineup?
Siakam, Hawkinson, Brown, and Jimmy Butler.
Okay, all right. So we're going 1 NFL pick, less than 34.5 receiving yards, TJ Hawkinson, 3 NBA picks, more than 11.5 rebounds and assists for Pascal Siakam, more than 13 points for Christian Brown, and more than 6.5 free throws attempted for Jimmy Butler against that Nuggets defense.
I like it a lot. And this pretty much just guaranteed that Keenan Allen's going to have 15 targets, 10 catches.
Yeah, I don't like you vetoing
yards.
that, but I gave you a veto, so we're going to be fine with it.
All right. Let's take a quick break here. We got Brian Dutcher on the other side, so we'll make some room. Dutch is coming down to the table. I'm out in Las Vegas. Sammy back in San Diego. Having a great time here on a Thursday for the Mountain West Media Days. Previewing this Aztecs basketball season. Mountain West preseason rankings just came out unanimously. Aztecs were number 1. Miles Bird, preseason player of the year. And what does all that mean? Absolutely nothing. But what does the coach think about it? You'll find out coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Major League Baseball. Thursday Night Football, Chargers hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Carson Wentz gets the nod over J.J. McCarthy, who is still coming back from an injury. Joe Alt, star left tackle for the Chargers, is questionable to play tonight. Chargers are currently 3.5-point home favorites with the point total set at 44.5. And a 2-game slate in the NBA tonight. Oklahoma City traveling to Indiana to take on the Pacers in an NBA Finals rematch. No Tyrese Halliburton is dealing with that Achilles injury. OKC is currently a 7.5-point favorite. In the night game, Nuggets in Golden State take on the Warriors, who beat the Lakers on night one. Golden State is currently a 1.5-point favorite. That game is going at 7 o'clock on ESPN. It's the World Series. These moments never die. October, it's different. Watch baseball at its finest. The World Series presented by Capital One, Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Yeah, it's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. I am in Las Vegas for the Mountain West Media Days for basketball. It's presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztec Hoops. And there is no Aztec Hoops without Brian Dutcher, the head coach of the Aztecs, entering into season number 9 as the head coach on the Mesa. Dutch, pleasure to have you. It's great to have basketball back.
Hey, it's great to talk basketball with someone other than Johnny Schaefer. Where are you, John?
John is back in San Diego. I think you got a little Vegas out, Coach, if I'm being honest. But how's the offseason? How you feeling?
Everything's good. I mean, we're putting our work in. It's hard not to get obsessed right now and say, oh, we got to be this, we got to be that. But it's still October, so we got to – we started in July. We're hoping to play into deep March. So we have a long journey ahead of us. And so we just have to have a goal of trying to get better every day.
Maybe even early April. Who knows? All right, well, let's get right into it, Coach, because we got you for a limited amount of time. Preseason poll comes out yesterday. Does that do anything for you? Number 1 overall in the preseason poll, or is that just another thing?
Usually there's a hater in every group, but to be unanimous pick number 1, because I've never heard of that in my life. So we know what expectations are. They're high in the conference. They're high amongst our fan base, and they're high amongst our coaches. Now the hard part is living up to expectations.
Look, Coach, I've had a bunch of conversations this offseason about guys like Miles Bird, Taj DeGorville, Farrell Compton, Magoon Guat, the young guys that you were able to bring back this year. How do you do that in the current state of college basketball, where it feels like if there's a young guy with talent who gets playing time, he's gone?
Well, I'd always like to say, I want to beat my chest and say our culture is so good, they're going to come back. And then a year from now, everyone leaves and they're going to say, what happened to your culture? So we know there's some good fortune. There is some culture involved, that they value their experience at San Diego State. They feel as if they're getting better as players. They feel as if they're valued as people, and they feel like they're getting a quality degree. So those are all good reasons to come back. And that added, we do have good NIL. We pay them to be a part of our program. The thing is, they could make money somewhere else. We all know that. As much as we have, and we take good care of our players, the Power 4 and 5 conferences have more money, and our kids have turned down that money to remain at San Diego State.
Now, it has helped out when you got a guy like Chase Fisher in the community over with Blenders, donating $1 million per year for the next 5 years, grand total of $5 million included with the Las Vegas Invitational you guys are a part of. If Chase's message can get to other people around San Diego, what should that message be?
Just that we bring value to the city of San Diego. Yeah, San Diego State alums are proud of us. Our university's proud of us. But I'd like to think the city's proud of what we do. Whether it was that Lamont Butler shot that we all just lived and died on in the NCAA tournament finals, we bring value to the city. And so if you like the value we bring, then invest in us a little bit. And Chase Fisher, like everyone's like, well, Chase is given $1 million a year for 5 years. That's incredible. But for us to survive, we need people to give us $25. We need the $50 givers. It's like a telethon. Yeah, everybody shows the big check, but to make a telethon work, to have the support we need to stay relevant nationally, we need the general public to contribute. And so you sit there and go, well, he gave $1 million. I don't need to give everything. If you can give us $25 to the men's retention fund at San Diego State University, that's just as important to us.
Well, and it's everything. It's getting new high-level recruits like an LC Harrington who's going to be joining the team. So, Dutch, I did this with Reese and with Miles. I want to do it with you. Some of the new names joining the roster this year. Quick little introduction. Just one sentence on each guy if you can. LZ Harrington, the freshman.
You can't stop him, so steal him. LZ had 26 and 22 on us last year at San Jose.
Sean Newman Jr.
Pass first point guard, playing with a really gifted scoring team.
So, and I think you were talking about Latrell Davis, but LZ Harrington.
Oh, I thought about
the
Latrell.
freshman. Yeah.
Oh, LZ is oozing with potential.
Okay, and then Latrell Davis, who at San Jose State.
Yeah, can't stop him, steal him. Yeah.
Sure. And then Thakbor Magic, who's been around the program for a while, but we haven't really gotten eyes on him in game situation. What do Aztec fans need to know?
Super smart player, needs to gain weight.
Yeah. And I will say, I talked to Miles earlier today, Coach. He's gained some weight this offseason, at least a little bit. Miles Bird.
Yes. Bird is putting on some weight. The thing is, they all put it on. It's maintaining it.
Yeah.
Because when we start running and practicing every day, it's hard to maintain that weight.
All right, now Oxen Waters, obviously missing last year. He was on the sideline. It was heartbreaking watching him in some of those games on the sideline. But getting him back, that veteran leadership back to the program, what does that mean for you?
Everything. 19 points against UCLA in the scrimmage and making hard shots. At some level, you want all the shots to be easy, but someone's got to make hard shots, and Reese is capable of doing that.
And then Magoon, we saw Rothstein had a tweet up a little bit earlier. I think a quote from you, but what's the latest on Magoon?
Supposed to be full go in early November. Now, whether that's the fact or fiction, I don't know. We have to make sure he's healthy and ready to go. So he's on the right track. The doctors have cleared him for more competition, some contact, 5-on-0. We're pressing hard because we all know what looms with Michigan and Oregon. So we'd all like a healthy Magoon by then. Whether that's realistic or not, none of us will know until we get there.
Aztecs head coach Brian Dutcher. Last one for us, Dutch. I always talk about that second year in a program for San Diego State. When you see guys like Farrow, Taj, and even Magoon, who's going into his third year with the program. But you look at those guys, when Dave Velasquez gets his hands on them in the offseason, how are all of them looking heading into this year?
They've all gotten better, and that's the key to basketball. You can't stay the same. You either get worse or you get better, and I think we've gotten better.
Awesome. Coach, thank you for your time. Appreciate you a ton. Looking forward to the season. And a couple weeks, here we go.
Here we go, tipping it off.
All here on San Diego Sports 760 and, of course, at Viejas Arena. Thank you to Brian Dutcher, Miles Bird, Reese Waters, who I all got to speak with today. And thank you to Richard Stern, the Sports Information Director at San Diego State. Sammy, what do you say? Time for some big three. Let's smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
Always appreciate Coach Brian Dutcher's time, and let me tell you, his time was few and far between today. People were grabbing him left and right like crazy. But thank you to Coach. Thank you to Richard. Thank you to Miles and Reese, who you'll hear from in just a little bit. Sammy, where do you want to go with hour number 2 here on the Big Three?
We are heading to the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers says he'd be playing Sunday against his old team, not the Jets, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have not won in Green Bay. Sorry. The Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1970. Aaron Rodgers says this is, quote, not a revenge game. Also reports coming out per CBS Sports that if the season continues to go well, Aaron Rodgers is thinking about returning next year. Do you believe this is not a revenge game? Who do you give the edge to in Packers Steelers this weekend?
I do think Aaron Rodgers has entered into a part of his career where he seems a little more reflective and thankful for his time in Green Bay. But everything we've been believed to know about Aaron Rodgers is that he can hold a grudge. How many times did he call himself like the daddy of Chicago and weird stuff like that, or the Chicago Bears owner? Aaron Rodgers is going to have something a little extra. I don't think him and Matt LaFleur got along super well. I think he was pissed when they drafted Jordan Love. So I think there is going to be aspects to tonight where, while yes, Aaron can look back and reflect positively on his time in Green Bay now, which he's done more so on podcasts and stuff, I do think Aaron Rodgers, in the back of his head at least, is going to be like, I'm going to get these efforts.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for both teams because the Packers,
huge.
In terms of like just the matchup, I don't believe him. I think this is 100% a grudge game. You mentioned it, Fletch. I mean, he was, I own the city of Chicago. Aaron Rodgers takes up personally. In terms of the game, why it's such a great Sunday night game is Pittsburgh kind of thought of as a possible team in the AFC to watch. Well, they put up a clunker against Cincinnati, and it is a divisional game. We see things happen there, but the offense looked in complete disarray. The defense was awful. And then the Packers have been winning games, but haven't really looked that great. Like after starting 2-0, everyone kind of had them number one in the power rankings. They haven't been that great. They tied the Cowboys, barely beat the Bengals. I mean, don't look all that great last week. Like, it's an interesting game because I think both teams are kind of in similar spots in the AFC and NFC. Both teams are good teams. I think both are playoff teams, but I don't know if both are legit Super Bowl teams. And I think a win on Sunday will put one team obviously above the other, and we'll see if either of these teams are serious contenders in each of their conferences. So per reports, receivers Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are potentially on the move. Saints looking to shop them. The Bills are apparently calling on a receiver per CBS Sports. Should the Bills, or what team should be in on Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed at the receiver spot?
I mean, there's a few teams that definitely need him. And Sammy, can I get the music back? I missed the music already. The Bills make a lot of sense. I'll be dead honest. I think your Chiefs make some sense. There's been such inconsistency with Xavier Worthy, healthy or not, whether he's out on the field, that I think it makes sense for the Chiefs to maybe add a wide receiver to pair alongside Rashee Rice. I think the Niners could absolutely be in on a receiver. The Chargers should be in on a receiver. The Saints are sitting in a pretty good spot right now because they could start a bidding war between a few different teams. And you look baffed that I said the Chiefs might need a wide receiver. Has Xavier Worthy been healthy this year for more than a half game?
Well, he's healthy now. The Chiefs do not need a receiver.
Someone to consistently be on the field?
Well, if you're looking at the Chiefs, Rashee Rice is there. Xavier Worthy's the 2. Tyquan Thornton's been fantastic this year. And Hollywood Brown's caught 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. So
yeah, 2 of those 4 guys you just mentioned have been in and out of the lineup all year.
I think the Chiefs are set at receiver. The Chiefs need a running back. In terms of teams that won them, I think the Bills certainly need a receiver. They need a number 1 option. The Steelers are interesting because they had a number 2. They have a number 1 in Metcalf. They had a number 2 in Pickens, who's tearing it up for the Cowboys right now, but they didn't want to kind of deal with the off-the-field stuff that comes with Pickens. I think the Chargers playing tonight need a receiver. Ladd McConkey is a solid receiver. He's a good receiver. I don't believe Ladd McConkey is a true number 1 just because of his body size. He's more of a slot guy. You talk about, injuries. Can Keenan Allen stay healthy over the entire season? And Quentin Johnson, the first 3 weeks was fantastic, kind of tailed off a little bit. So I think the Chargers should be in on a receiver. I think the Bills certainly need a receiver. The entire offense, especially given that the Bills, the defense is not up to snuff, it can't just be James Cook and Josh Allen. Like that, we've seen that story before. Those 2 are unbelievable. They'll put up a lot of numbers, score a lot of points. They have to have a number 1 receiver and not just a collection of guys. Heading to the fighting world. So everyone's exhilarated for the showdown between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis coming up in 2 weeks. Jake Paul has said, first time he's ever shown anything, he said he is, quote, scared of Tank Davis, and it's keeping him up at night, the thought of this matchup now. Gervonta Tank Davis will weigh about 40 to 50 pounds lighter than Jake Paul on fight night. A, are you excited for the fight?
No.
B, will you be watching?
No.
And do you think Jake Paul gets his ass kicked?
I hope Jake Paul gets his ass kicked. He's not going to, though, because it's going to be a fake fight, just like the rest of them. I don't really get how this keeps working, but it keeps working, and they're going to keep doing it until they stop making $100 million on each one of these things. This is great that an influencer and a YouTube guy with a massive following, who I will give credit, is a good boxer. He's got the skills. He's got a serious punching power. But these are made for TV events, made to put money in the pocket, and good for him. He's figured out a way to do it. He's not getting my money this time, though, even though it's a free event that's going to be streamed on Netflix and 160 million people or whatever are going to be watching it. It's going to work. I have no interest in it. Sammy, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's disappointing from the side of Gervonta Tank Davis because it's a legit.
Why? He's going to make so much money.
Well, no, it's disappointing.
Would you not do the same thing?
As a boxing fan, because he actually had an opportunity to be an all-time great fighter of the decade, and he has not taken the top-tier fights to do so.
Sure, but it was disappointing that Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson went over to Live Golf. I would have done the exact same thing. If that money's being offered, this is generational wealth.
Yes, but the Tank fight would have been there at any time. Tank is about 30 years old. He could have done this 5 years from now. It still would have done huge money, huge event. He is in the prime of his career, and he's wasting it fighting Jake Paul. Yeah, this one's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot heading up to it. I don't see Tank Davis allowing himself to get knocked out by Jake Paul like some of these other UFC fighters. The fight is certainly intriguing. It's kind of an embarrassing event, the fact that there's going to be a 40-pound weight difference. I mean, it's going to be a spectacle. I'm not going to lie. I'll be watching with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it is funny that Jake Paul is starting to realize what it's like when you get in with a real puncher and a guy who can turn his lights out. And I think that's what we're going to see in a couple weeks from now.
All right, 858 texting into the show. When are we getting those SeaWorld tickets? How about right now? A 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's How Low Scream going on now through November 1st on select nights. You can buy tickets at SeaWorldSanDiego.com, or you can win a family 4-pack of tickets right now by calling 877-767-4760. Sammy, what caller number do you want to do?
Let's hit 13.
13, lucky number 13. Maybe I'll have to go down to the roulette's table after the show and put some on 13. But number 13, you're going to SeaWorld San Diego. Good luck. We'll be right back with some more on Thursday Night Football, some getting you ready for this afternoon sports. Plus, I've not told my story from last night yet. You might hear that on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. It's the Fletch Zone, and today's edition of the Fletch Zone is presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztec Hoops. Thank you to Windmill Farms for sending us out to Vegas for Mountain West Media Days. You heard from Brian Dutcher on our show a little bit earlier. If you missed it, it will be up on the podcast in a little bit. Thought he had some really interesting things to say, especially about the world of NIL, that investment they got from Chase Fisher, the founder of Blenders, the $1 million a year for the next 5 years, and how that kind of just scratches the surface of what you need in a basketball program that has the goals and aspirations that San Diego State has. He also talked about some of the new faces. LZ Harrington out of St. John Bosco's high school, who is expected to be an impact player right away in the Mountain West this year. He was the Mountain West preseason freshman of the year. Miles Bird, the Mountain West preseason player of the year in the Aztecs, preseason #1 team in the Mountain West. We'll see. None of that means anything as of right now, but man, it sure is good to see at least starting out like that. All right, Sammy, who was our winner of those SeaWorld tickets?
Kyle, the man, going to SeaWorld. He's the best. Talking to him on the phone for a little bit, so shout out to Kyle.
What a guy, that Kyle. Thank you for listening, Kyle. Appreciate your time, brother. All right, Sammy, you asked me earlier in the show how gambling was going. I told you we'd have to wait a little bit. I am in Vegas.
He's been very ominous about this, by the way. Before the show, he wouldn't even tell me.
So here's the thing. I literally, not even joking, spent $15 gambling last night in about 30 minutes of time.
Wait, hold on. $15?
$15. I brought a $100 bill to gamble with to Las Vegas because I wasn't going to have that much time. I'm here for less than 24 hours. And I went down after I got checked into the hotel room. I was delayed 3 different times for my flight. And so I go down to the casino floor about 10:30 last night after I get checked in and everything. And I put $100 into one slot machine. I hit the button 3 times, 3 $5 bets. And on the third spin, got a $2,500 bonus.
Get out of here.
Swear to God. I'll send you the video, so I didn't know if you get anything over $1,200, it has to be taxed. Like, so the person comes out of the back. So it took like 45 minutes for me to get this money. I was ready to go to sleep, but the person has to come out of the back with the cash, count it out to you, make you sign a bunch of paperwork that says I won this much money and I have to give that to my tax guy now. But it's never happened to me before.
Wait, hold on. So okay, so you sit down a slot. Was
Correct.
this so the gambling the degenerate way to gamble slots is you do the trafficked areas where it's not the shiny big machines.
So I'll tell you what the strategy was here. There was a couple who was playing this slot, and the husband and wife who were like slamming the button over and over again, and I could hear them very loudly complaining that nothing was happening on this slot. They got up and left, and I just sat down right after them. Hit the button 3 times, boom, lights go off like crazy. Some little zombie guys running across the screen. Absolute chaos. And I was at that slot for 45 minutes waiting for what they call a hand pay, which I had never had before. But $2,500 on one spin.
That's what we're talking about. All right, so the real question is, when is your flight leave?
7:30, I think.
Perfect. So we're off here at 2.
I got to hang out for a little bit doing some stuff with John and Jim.
Okay, that's fine. We get that out of the way. Then you're gonna be done
Just
by
get that out of the way.
No, we love John.
Who cares about them?
No, we love John and Jim. But then so then you got a couple hours. You got to get to the airport. You seem like a early at the airport kind of guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
at least 2 hours.
Fletch was a story when we last were in Vegas. Fletch was very concerned about getting to the airport on time. And I was placing bets at the book at Circa, and I was like, Fletch, you gotta calm down. Like I got a parlay I gotta place, and Fletch was like, we have to be outside in 5 minutes, or we're gonna miss the car. So, but you still have 2 hours in between, Fletch, to go back to the tables. What are we playing?
I think I might have to go play some craps. I'm rarely in a situation where I have a bunch of profit in my pocket, so I think I could go aggressive with it on craps and try to make even more.
I think you pocket 1,500 and you take a foul to the crowd.
Oh my God. No, you're insane. You're a psychopath.
You didn't think you were going to have $2,500 before this.
Maybe $100 is all the rest that's coming out of my pocket.
First off, you should be better to pocket it because you can't buy into a craps table with only $100. It's going to be your base bet is $15. Playing behind the line is going to be 10. That's like 4 hands for you or 4 rolls.
Well, as long as no one rolls a 7, we're good. Just don't say that magical word. We'll be fine. I think maybe $100 more gets risked, and we'll see if I can make another $2,500, or just go back to that same slot machine.
This is the problem.
It's just free money
when you're trying to buy a house. Like, I don't have that problem. So if I won $2,500, that would immediately be going back to the sports book or the tables.
Yeah, that's not happening. My wife is already counting that money. I think it's already in our savings account.
You told her?
Of course, I told her.
You had to wait
Sammy.
till after the trip.
What do you think I am?
Why would you tell her that when you won?
All right. Well, I did tell her.
That's already made money now.
Yeah, it's made money for her. That's what it is. And it's going to go to our future house. Give Gary Cooper a call, 858-376-1299. If you want to buy a house, I'm going to buy a house with that money I just made in Las Vegas. So thank you, John Schaefer, for not being able to go on this trip, because this trip just paid.
See, now you told John. Now John's probably going to want a little kickback on that.
I know, isn't he? Or our bosses. Yeah, we'll see. All right, quick break here. Adrian Garcia Marquez is going to be joining the show next. I guess moral of the story is throw $15 into a slot machine and you're rich. That's all it takes.
Simple as that. Quit your job. Go to the slot machine like Chauncey Billups.
Sammy doesn't even like slots.
Yeah, I like being with the people at the tables.
Being with the people at the table has never done that for me. All right, quick break here. Adrian Garcia Marquez on the other side, the play-by-play voice of SDFC ahead of their first ever postseason game. Can't wait for this. Adrian coming up next at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Got a big Thursday night football matchup from Los Angeles tonight. The Chargers 3.5-point home favorites over the Minnesota Vikings. We'll be going with Carson Wentz at quarterback. Star running back Aaron Jones will be making his return after 4 weeks missed due to injury. And in the NBA tonight, got a doubleheader going on. Thunder in Indiana taking on the Pacers for an NBA Finals rematch. Oklahoma City is currently 7.5-point favorites, while the Nuggets will be on the road taking on the Warriors, who beat the Lakers the other night on opening night. Golden State is currently a 1.5-point favorite. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football and King's Hawaiian Sliders. There's something about those soft, fluffy, irresistible King's Hawaiian Sliders that make them a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. King's Hawaiian, there's nothing like it.
Here we are in Las Vegas. It's the Mountain West Conference Media Day, and our broadcast today is presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztec Hoops. The Aztecs women's basketball team actually has just arrived. You're going to be hearing from Stacey Terry Hudson, the head coach, coming up with John and Jim in just a little bit. But right now, we are switching gears quite a bit to go over to SDFC, who's going to be playing their first ever postseason match coming up this Sunday at 6:30 at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets are still on sale, but they're going fast. The first 25,000 supporters through the gates at Snapdragon Stadium are getting a brand new SDFC scarf, which I got to see yesterday. They're pretty sweet, if I may say so myself. Today on the show, Adrian Garcia Marquez, legendary play-by-play voice in the world of sports, also the play-by-play voice of SDFC, joining us. Adrian, what's going on?
How you doing? I'm just fired up. This is a time of year that I think, for me at least, this is my favorite time of year. The converted football, baseball in October. I mean, can't ask for anything more. And then coming into this weekend, first ever MLS playoff game in the city of San Diego, it's just going to be absolute fire. The energy I've seen out of everybody in the 619 over these last few days, and it's only going to get bigger. I mean, it's just going to be a full night. Doesn't matter. I mean, the result obviously is going to matter, but it's the history of being there together in year one, a successful first season for SDFC. It's been phenomenal.
It is crazy. And the season has just gone so smoothly, Adrian. It's like you pinch yourself and realize expansion teams aren't really supposed to do this. And that's exactly what SDFC has done this year, making it as the number one seed into the postseason. And we'll see how this goes. But how about the matchup with Portland? They beat Real Salt Lake, so they get the spot across of San Diego FC. And how do you think that matchup favors or doesn't favor San Diego FC?
Well, I think, the recent results kind of tell you, San Diego FC had their number, but we know very well across sports, all of that goes out the window. That's the Milwaukee Brewers. They had a 7-0 on the season against the Dodgers, and they just got run through, by Shohei and company. So I know in football and different sports, it's a different thing and a different vibe, the way that these things kind of play out. But tactically speaking, San Diego FC have shown superiority over Portland on a couple of occasions already, but it's still a dangerous team. It's still a team coached by, Neville, and that guy right there, I'm sure he's already made adjustments, especially after, gaining another ticket into the playoff dance. They're going to play, I think, a little bit of a different fire, and we're going to see it on Sunday. I think it's a formidable team. They will present a challenge given all of the talent on that side, but I think our guys are going to come out on top.
Adrian, there obviously a lot of uncertainty surrounding the Chucky Lozano situation. If he doesn't play on Sunday, who has to step up in his place to get a W?
Well, we've seen it already. He's finding his rhythm. Amal Pellegrino playing more of a natural left wing for him. It's a more natural fit, but come on. I mean, do we really want to go to the Rumble without Dallas Winston? Heck no. We want to take Chucky Lozano with us. And I think Adrian is definitely a player that recognizes whatever was the situation. And we've all kind of gotten different versions of what's going on. The bottom line is, look, this is an internal thing between the manager, a player, the teammates, and it's going to be settled. There's a lot of good people in that locker room. Mikey Vadas has been brilliant in handling his guys, and Adrian Lozano's a competitor. And if that was the case, with what we were kind of hearing, that it was just his competitive nature. He didn't want to come out of a game. He took exception to it. And if that was the case, I'd rather have guys like that than guys that, want to sit out or not play or be taken off of the field. I want that guy to want to be in the trenches with his teammates, and that's Adrian Lozano. He's just a competitor. So I think that's going to iron itself out. And come Sunday night, I think he'll be there.
Adrian Garcia Marquez joining us today. Well said, Adrian. And it sounds like Mikey Varas is going to go to the podium tomorrow to kind of give everyone an update on that situation, and we'll find out more then. And hopefully you're right. Hopefully Chucky Lozano, the competitive juices were flowing, and he's going to come back to the team because he's a competitor, and they have a better chance with him out there. Adrian, if you want to just talk for a second, the significance of what's actually going down, because I think a lot of people, myself included, really, we're first-time fans to this postseason thing in the MLS, and we don't exactly grasp the impressive nature of what San Diego FC has done this year, being the expansion team, taking the number 1 seed in the West, and what they're about to embark on starting on Sunday.
Absolutely. The history, the 63 points, the most points on the road, the most wins on the road, the amount of goals. I mean, the machine just kept coming. They didn't stop. They never changed their fight styles. They were like Mike Tyson, man. They went for the knockout within 90 seconds. And that's what you want to see out of this team. And we saw it all year long. You saw the fight. You saw the chemistry. You saw how well built the organization is from top to bottom with Tyler Heaps, obviously at the presidency level, the vision, from Tom Penn and the Mansur group, everybody at Singing on the Kumeyaay Nation, everybody. I mean, I think it was just something that it was perfect synergy, if I could put it that way. Everybody put their best foot forward and all hands on deck. And at the beginning of the season, the way that the team was created, it doesn't surprise us at all for those of us that have been there from step one, seeing the vision, seeing what this team had mapped out. Obviously they're ahead of schedule. I think we can all agree, like, wow, year one being this awesome. Like, it's just been very impressive with all of the records and everything that they've accomplished, but they're not done, and they know the mission's not. It's happened in the past. Chicago's done it once as an expansion side, go straight to that title. And the records are there to be broken. And we saw San Diego FC reestablish a lot of different numbers there for an expansion side. And I'm sure there will be another team someday that might be chasing San Diego FC's records, but I think they're going to stand for a minute. And it's just been an absolute treat to see them play football. Aside from the numbers, aside from the stats, aside from the MVP candidate that is under the Draya, just the style of football and the people that are bringing you that football. It's easy to love this team. It's easy to get behind it. And Sunday, I think, is going to be a great example of that.
Adrian, obviously SDFC beat Portland 4-0 last week. Do you see that, like, as them playing them in their last game in a potential 3-game series, a advantage or a little bit of a disadvantage considering Portland just saw them?
I think it works a little bit both ways, at this stage, especially in a best of 3 type of situation here in football. I think because you've seen them tactically speaking, that's why I think maybe Neville can make a couple of adjustments, maybe force SDFC's hand a little bit, try to box them in, try to do what some of these teams have done, which is they kind of lay in that low block and they kind of frustrate the aggressiveness of SDFC. But Mikey's been brilliant in making his adjustments, as well as, when teams have, tactically changed a couple of things to make things more difficult for SDFC. They've found a way to break through, and usually it's a player that makes that difference. You've seen how Jet Petros quietly, just always has that darting pass at the perfect time after the perfect steal in that perfect moment, and creates that transition into a pocket, into a seam, and then under the way that he navigates up and down the field. So I think it's an advantage for both sides to see each other as much as they've seen each other, but I think also there's that confidence level that San Diego FC comes into, knowing that they've been pretty dominant over Portland, this season.
Adrian Garcia Marquez, always appreciate your time, Adrian. I look forward to hearing your call on Sunday at 6:30 as San Diego FC plays their first ever postseason game against the Portland Timbers at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets are available at sandiegofc.com. Although they are going fast, it is heading for a sellout quickly. First 25,000 fans getting those brand new scarves. Adrian, good luck on Sunday, man. Let's go SDFC.
Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But remember tonight, it all starts with Puro Charger Power. So make sure that you guys are listening in to Chargers Thursday Night Football, trying to rectify. I know there's a lot of people still on the fence, and then there's a lot of people grabbing their old Craig Wheelahan jersey saying, I've been with the team the whole time. Let's go.
Sure.
Have some faith, Puro Charger Power. You already know.
All
Let's
right,
go.
Adrian, you have a great day, man. Thank you. Adrian Garcia Marquez, the best, one of the best to ever do it from the play-by-play booth. Can't wait to hear his call on Sunday. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. We will wrap this thing up, give you some last little insights from Vegas. You're going to hear from Reese Waters and Miles Bird on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760. Take a quick break live on the iHeartRadio app.
Hey, it's Fletch for Gary Cooper over at Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Give him a call today, 858-376-1299. If you have purchased a home in the last few years, Gary Cooper has a way for you to save some money. Gary, tell the people what they want.
Well, that is true. And if you've refinanced in the last 3 years, if you have an interest rate that's in the mid to high sixes, or in a lot of cases, people have rates in the 7% range, the 10-year bond, the benchmark for long-term interest rates, has dipped below 4%. It's actually sitting at 3.97 right now. What does that mean to you? Interest rates are lowering. So I'll give you one example. If you were to do a rate and term refinance, no cash out on a single family house, estimated value $990, loan amount $740,000. That means you're at 75% loan to value, credit scores of 780 or better. Then you are looking at a 30-year fixed at this very moment at 5.925. That's 5.925 with an APR of 6.01. So that's a pretty good drop. And hopefully we'll get some more news this week on Friday, the Consumer Price Index. So if these reports start coming in favorably, we can see a little bit better interest rates in the following week. So don't sit and wait. You can always complete an application with me. We can sit and wait and kind of see what happens. But at least you have everything in. And if the rates do drop to a certain point, I can lock it right away for you.
All it takes is a phone call, 858-376-1299. Have a conversation with Gary Cooper that could save you cash. Call Gary Cooper today or visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you for our final time here today. John and Jim are coming up next, and alongside them will be Stacey Terry Hudson, the Aztecs women's basketball head coach, coming up at 2:30 from here in Las Vegas, where I've been doing the show today. It has been fun, man, and a big thank you to Windmill Farms, who sent us out here to Vegas to cover the Mountain West Conference Media Day, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of the Aztecs. Thank you, Windmill Farms, for sending me out here. Had a blast. It was great. I actually got to talk to a couple of guys in the media who I haven't seen in a long time. John Rothstein with CBS Sports, the We Sleep in May guy, has been here all day, and he actually has some breaking news out of the Mountain West that we will tell you about in about 2 minutes, right after we hear from Miles Bird, who's one of the captains of this year's San Diego State Aztecs teams, one of the leaders, the Mountain West preseason player of the year. I was able to catch up with him a little bit earlier today. Here's what a little bit of that sounded like. So the offseason for you, obviously, yours was a little different. You were testing waters in the NBA. I'm positive you got offers from around the country to maybe go to a different school. What does it mean to you to be back at San Diego State and that loyalty you showed to the program?
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to stay in college, which I ultimately ended up doing, I wasn't going to go anywhere else besides San Diego State. I'm 1 year from graduating here. I've had some of my greatest basketball memories being at San Diego State, and I think the trust the coaching staff has in me and the love that's so mutual between me and the coaching staff and the guys here and just like the staff, not even on the court staff. I was comfortable here, and I realized I'm so close to where I want to go. Leaving would only probably hurt that.
Really is. And Miles Bird, the way he was talking today, it's a fact that he got offers outside of the Mountain West and in some of the Power 4 programs. And it's also a fact he turned them down to come back to San Diego State, and that's huge. And it is part of the culture. Now, you heard Brian Dutcher earlier today saying, he's like, yeah, I'd love to pound my chest and say it's our culture, which is what brings these guys back. It's the fact that we do such a good job of coaches, but I'll say that out loud, and then all of a sudden next year they'll all be gone. And that's always a possibility here in the modern era of college basketball. But I think the fact that this core of this team is coming back with those three freshmen that all got serious playing time last year and all showed a lot of positive signs, they all probably got offered more money out to go elsewhere this year, and they all stayed. And that's a reason why San Diego State is favored to once again go to March Madness and hopefully be a serious competitor. Now, I mentioned some breaking news, Sammy. You're going to like this. So it is a little weird that for the Mountain West, this is the last time a lot of these teams are going to be in the same building together for one of these media days, because the Mountain West is breaking up next year. And it's weird that Grand Canyon's here. Actually, it's cool to see him here, but it's just a new look to the Mountain West this year, who they are immediately in for basketball this year. But John Rothstein has a tweet out right now that says San Diego State and UNLV, San Diego State going to the Pac-12, UNLV staying in the Mountain West, are finalizing an agreement to bring a home-and-home series at Viejas Arena during the 2026-2027 season, and then the return game in Vegas 2027-2028. So one of the best rivalries in the Mountain West over the last 5 or 6 years is going nowhere. There's a home-and-home schedule between these two teams, which is great news for Aztec fans and Rebel fans.
Yeah, it's awesome. They, that's kind of been the long-running thing with either college football or college basketball. Like, that was a big thing with USC Notre Dame. It's not scheduled here on out. So some of these big time, matchups and rivalries that mean so much to people that went to the school and follow the school. It's cool that it gets kind of keep happening. And going to the Pac-12 is certainly gonna be a really good basketball conference. Seeing Gonzaga and everyone definitely hyped to get Aztecs underway here soon.
It's going to be fun, man. November 4th is the first game that counts. They do have another exhibition coming up against USD in just about a week's time. So get ready. Aztec basketball is here. John Schaefer and I become very, very busy this time of year when we go back and forth between basketball and football. 858's clowning me, Sammy, saying 2 hours early to the airport is crazy.
It is.
Why?
Because you're like that Progressive commercial where the lady gets there 4 hours early and she's like, should have been on time. And you probably bring your own snacks because you don't want to pay for them at the kiosk.
Duh.
Listen, help the economy out, Fletch. Okay.
Yeah,
be
I'll
kind.
help the 7-Eleven economy out. I don't need to pay $25 for a bag of Reese's at the airport.
I hope, like in Vegas, that is how you get to the airport as your flight is boarding. There is no.
That is insane to me. I would never do that. That's such a risk. You want to be stuck extra time in a place?
Sure. In Vegas, I'll go back to the tables. That is not a problem if we get stuck.
Yeah, I will be getting to the airport around 5:30 for my 7:30 flight today. And that feels like
first off, Vegas security is easy. It's super easy. You just walk right through.
I just want to make sure I'm there on time. I want to go make sure I know where my gate is. I want to go sit down and have a pre-flight beer, which is one of the top beers. And all those things need to happen. Otherwise, I'll be a nervous wreck.
Are you the guy that goes and checks on the gate before you go do something?
Damn right
I
do. Yo, you are damn right I do. I go right to that gate, make sure I know exactly where it is, make sure I know where if it's close to the bathroom or not. Find the bar, go have a drink. In Vegas, it's a little different. You can go play a slot machine. But yes, I am very aware of my surroundings at the airport. How about our buddy John on YouTube saying, let's go Vikings. I'll be at SDFC. Let's go SDFC. Let's go Fletch and Sammy. And then red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black.
I'm with every single one of those outcomes.
How about John? I'm also rooting for the Vikings tonight. Not necessarily even because I don't like the Chargers, just because I like what the Vikings have built. And Carson Wentz is kind of fun on this redemption tour. Is Carson Wentz about to be the next Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones?
Carson Wentz is not. First off, the question is, should you have gotten rid of Sam Darnold when he took you to 13 wins, despite having 2 bad losses at the end of the year?
The question is, if Carson Wentz balls out tonight and JJ McCarthy's healthy next week, are you sticking with Carson Wentz?
Well, you have to start McCarthy, because if you would have went, let's say Carson Wentz plays well tonight, then you're sitting there going, why did we give up Sam Darnold, who's tearing it up in Seattle? Your whole franchise behind JJ McCarthy. And they're in a spot where the Vikings are a talented enough roster with Brian Flores running that defense, Addison and Jefferson, all these guys. Like, they're going to win games. So they're not going to be picking at the top of the draft to get a quarterback. They better hope McCarthy works. And he's a guy who was out all last year. He played at Michigan the one season. Like, he has to get reps on the field. I'm surprised he's not playing tonight. I really am surprised he's not playing tonight.
You got a final score for us tonight, Sammy?
I think the Chargers win 24-20.
Same score, Vikings win.
Really? So we're both going with the under by a half point.
Yes, we are. All right, that's it for us today. Thank you to Windmill Farms for sponsoring today's show. Again, I've been out in Las Vegas. Sammy's been holding it down back in San Diego. Presented by Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer and proud supporter of Aztec Hoops. And by the way, those Windmill Farms sandwiches are damn tasty. Go try one.
You can get those at the airport, right, Fletch?
I get them at Windmill Farms. I like their sandwiches a lot. It's in that little Del Cerro parking lot area. I like that a lot. All right, John and Jim are next. You're going to hear from Stacey Terry Hudson, plus a whole lot of John and Jim. That's next at San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.